what I'm about to share with you today, it's going to change everything that you know about manifesting, because I'm going to really simplify it for you so that you start focusing on what is most important when it comes to manifesting your desires in this physical reality. Now, first things first, what I want you to start understanding about manifesting anything, or let's call it creating. I feel like I prefer creating because that's really what we're doing. You're creating a new reality. You're creating the awareness of a new reality. That's what you're doing. And as soon as you can align your focus and your assurance that your desire is fulfilled with your current space where you are right now vibrationally, then the reality that you're trying to manifest will show. Let me explain by telling you something that happened to me recently. By the way, if this is the first time that you're watching me, you're like, who is she? Hi, my name is Elohor, Alordiah. It is such a pleasure to have you joining me for this transmission today. I hope that it blesses you tremendously. If you love it and you love the channel, make sure you subscribe so that you see me next time on your feed again. Recently, I was speaking with a friend, complaining, more like, and I was telling her how I wasn't happy where I was. Like, I was living in an apartment that I did not like. I did not like the environment. I felt like it was too, it wasn't inspiring me. Like, I step out of the house and it's like, I don't like it, right? So I kept on telling my friend, like, I don't like this place. I want to move. I want to move to a luxury apartment. Those were my key words. I want to move to a luxury apartment. I want to move to a new apartment. Specifically, I said, I want to move to an apartment that is upstairs, because quite frankly, I was tired of staying down on the down floor. I wanted to go up so that I can be closer to the sky. So in the morning when I rise, I can look at the clouds and I can, get the air and the sun into my room. Like I had those visions in my head. And I said to her, I really want a luxury apartment. And at the time, I didn't even think that I had the budget for a luxury apartment. It was just something that was always on my mind. And I just kept on getting irritated with my house at the time, or my apartment at the time. And so, long story short, which is still a little bit long, I decided to travel back home. At this time, I was in Accra, Ghana. So I flew back home to Nigeria to see my parents and be with my family for a little bit. I literally left Accra to go visit my parents. The plan was to be with my parents for 2 months, for 2 weeks, maybe to a month. And I was going to go back to Accra. So I go to my parents' place. I spend time with my parents. I have a really good time. And I'm beginning to feel like perhaps I might want to stay back in Lagos, Nigeria. So I came back to Lagos just for a few weeks to get my visa. I said to myself, if I like Lagos a little bit, I might stay back for some time. But let's go get my visas, because I wanted to make a trip out of the country. So I went back to Lagos. I booked an Airbnb. Okay. I booked an Airbnb for about 2 weeks. My plan was to spend those 2 weeks applying for my visa, trying to get my visa done and ready. And then maybe I would go back to Accra if the visa process was complete. I did not know what was going to happen. So I booked this Airbnb. And I left my space where I was to go to the Airbnb, and I called the host of the Airbnb and she wouldn't pick up the phone. I'm looking for this Airbnb. The time is like, it's late night, right? It's like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I'm driving in circles in Lagos trying to locate the Airbnb because the map location that was given to me did not get me to the right apartment. So I was just circling and trying to call this person, and this person would not pick up. Honey, I ended up sleeping in the car that night. Okay. I drove back into like a nice neighborhood around, and I said, I'm going to sleep in the car. And first thing in the morning, I'm going to book me another Airbnb. So I booked me another Airbnb. It was like 5 a.m. in the morning. I chatted with a new host and I said, I'm sorry, but I've had a long night. Can I check in early? And she said, yes, I should come over. So I literally drove to this place. It's 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm driving to this place. And when I get into the environment, I'm like, wow, this is such a serene place. It's nice. I'm happy that I came here. So at this point, I had gotten over the fact that the previous Airbnb host did me dirty and I couldn't reach her. And so I move into my new Airbnb, right? And I'm there for a week. And for that whole week, I'm just enjoying the space. I'm really loving the space. And so I start making inquiries about the place. I'm like, oh, wow, do you guys have like another apartment open here? Like, do you have an empty space possibly available for rent? And they said yes. I said, wow, I would love to see that. And so I took a look. Literally, it was upstairs from my Airbnb. That's where I am right now. It was literally top floor of the Airbnb that I had booked. And so they took me upstairs to take a look at the place. And I looked at it. I liked it. You know, it had potential and I could see myself living in it. I'm like, this is quite nice. I began to look in my bank account like, okay, I think I can afford it. Maybe I might stay back in Lagos for some time. Maybe I might enjoy this. And I move in. In fact, as I was moving in and, you know, going through the paperwork and remember, I literally moved from the Airbnb downstairs to my new apartment upstairs. Like I took my bags and I moved up. And through the process of paying for the rents and talking to the agent and all of these things, they said to me, you know, we did not want to rent this apartment out before. And I said, why? They said, well, you know, several people had come to check the apartment out and the landlord was not willing to rent it out. But for some reason, just recently, just before I asked for it, they decided they were going to rent it out. And guess who got it? Me. I got it. Okay. I got it. And I said, oh, that is so nice. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I paid for it and I moved in. I began to furnish the apartment, buy my stuff and spending more money and, you know, just getting excited about the new house. And it wasn't until a few days after I had fully moved in and fully like furnished and taken care of the place that I stopped in shock. I was like in the kitchen and I stopped. I turned around. I'm like, yo, wait, I'm upstairs in a luxury apartment. I like it here. Oh, wow. The windows open up to the view of the sky in my room and in the living room. And I was just like, I thought about this. I talked about this so many times. And this was what I wanted. Somehow, life had lined me up so perfectly from missing my booking with the first Airbnb because the host would not pick up her phone, to booking an impromptu Airbnb, to finding out that they had apartments here because I love the environment. I said, well, let me check the apartments out. And going upstairs to check the apartment, and the landlord just decided that he was going to lease it. And I just happened to be there. And somehow the universe had just happened to bless me with, you know, change in the bank, and I had money to pay for it at the time. But it took me a few days to stop and stay and say, oh shit, I now live in the luxury apartment that is upstairs with a view to the sky that I wanted. And it's just like that. And here's what I want you to notice. It's the synchronicities that are happening in your life that are literally lining you up to the desire of your heart. The synchronicities, human nature, we call it coincidences. Nothing happens coincidentally. There is no coincidence in this universe. Carl Jung likes to say they are synchronicities, and I agree with that. Synchronicities are this seemingly happenstance happenings that happen just out of and it's like, oh, okay, that happened. But no, it didn't just quite happen. It was nicely lined up and orchestrated for you. And in our lives, on the path to our manifestations or our creations, sometimes we might go through these hurdles. It feels like, you know, a bump in your walk. And it's like, you know, things kind of get chaotic before they get clear. Things kind of get confusing before you have clarity. But if you start paying attention and you start observing how things are lining up for you, it just changes your entire life. And this is something that has been helping me for a long time, is that I honestly trust in life. And I want to encourage you to trust in life as well. Especially when things do not exactly go as planned, because they might not be going according to your plan, but they are going according to the greater plan that your soul already designed before you came here. This is such a sweet, beautiful way to experience life when you start really paying attention. You start looking into people's eyes when you meet them for the first time. When you walk into a store and you want to buy something, you pay attention to the person you're talking to. You pay attention to the person that brushes by you. You pay attention to those random moments that, you know, you collide with someone, you have a conversation, it reminds you of something, it leads you to the next thing, and then you pick up your phone. And all of those things are lined up perfectly to bring you the manifestation of the desires of your heart. And this is what I love so much about life, that there are no mistakes. Even when you detour this way and that, there are no mistakes. Long story short, I manifested my luxury apartment and I manifested the money to be able to pay for it. I manifested, just freedom. The fact that I could decide at any time to leave Accra, come back to Lagos, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to stay. That type of freedom has been possible for me because I really took advantage of leveraging the internet and growing an online business. And this is why I do the work that I do today, because this type of freedom has really freed me completely mentally when it comes to thinking about money and how to survive and how to pay your bills and all of these things. Because of running online businesses, leaving this sort of nomadic lifestyle where I can pick up myself and go and pick up myself and go, I have enough space to actually pay attention to what is happening. And I want to invite you to start creating that space to pay attention to what is happening. Because life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. Every single thing is happening for you. And if you allow yourself to pay attention to the synchronicity and follow the path, however it unfolds, ever so thankfully, ever so gratefully, then the things that you're trying to manifest will come to you much more easier because the universe knows that you're paying attention. So the universe is trying to get you to pay attention. Pay attention to what is happening when it is happening, every time it is happening. And just be thankful. Whatever happens, happens. Be thankful. All right? I love you so much. This has been a great transmission. I hope it changed your worldview today. If it did, please share it with someone. And if you would like to learn more from me, check out the links in the description down below. I have links to my free guides and classes for you, especially those of you who want to monetize with digital products. And you should probably also check my other videos that will help you along this journey as well. I love you. I'll see you in the next one.